We are so much closer to Money in the Bank, which makes people start to ask, who is going to win the briefcase? But what I've been asking, is what happens if the person who was just inches away from that briefcase won? How would that cash-in have looked? Would have been better than the cash-in we got, you know? And so come with me as I take you on a journey and looking into the past of the 10 years of Money in the Bank matches, men and women, so I can show you what if the second closest person won the briefcase. Let's get into it. Now this is going to be a long one, so I'm going to go ahead and ask you now, please like, share, comment, and subscribe if you really like this kind of content, because I plan on making this a series of what ifs. It's going to be fun. Now let's get into the video. 2016's lineup was Neville, Sheamus, Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, Kane, Dolph Ziggler, and Kofi Kingston. Sheamus ended up winning the briefcase and cashing in said briefcase on Roman Reigns at Survivor Series after winning the vacant champion off of Seth Rollins. The second closest person to the briefcase before Sheamus was Neville, meaning Neville would have cashed in their briefcase at Survivor Series and beat Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship, granted with the help of Triple H. So overall, I would say that would be a thumbs up. I think that'd be a good thing. That would make a new star in Neville, and he would have lost the champion a month later because Sheamus ended up losing it around that time, but you'd at least get a new star and a new champion out of Neville, so thumbs up, yeah. In 2016, the lineup was Dean Ambrose, Sami Zayn, Chris Jericho, Alberto Del Rio, Cesaro, and Kevin Owens. Dean Ambrose acquiring the briefcase, only to then cash in that same night at Money in the Bank against Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns to win his brand new world champion. The next closest person to the briefcase before Dean Ambrose was Kevin Owens. So that means Kevin Owens would have won the briefcase, cash in that same night against Seth Rollins after winning, and became your new world champion. And I'm going to say personally that's a thumb down for me, because I do like the idea of all three members of the Shield holding that title that same night. I like that stat, it makes me happy. So I'll do a thumbs down for Kevin being the second and winning the briefcase. In 2017, we had the first women's Money in the Bank with Tamina, Carmella, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Natalya. Carmella winning the briefcase with the helps of James Ellsworth, Jesus, it's a hard word to say, excuse me, cashing in not on a match, but on a beatdown with the debuting Iconics of Billie Kay and Peyton Royce, beating up Charlotte Flair only for Carmella to run out, cash in, and win the SmackDown Women's Champion. Now, that year, the second closest person to winning was Becky Lynch, meaning that she would have been the one to run in after the beatdown of Charlotte Flair to cash in, winning the Women's SmackDown Champion. And overall, I would give this a thumbs up. In a way, I feel like this would have made Becky an instant star. Basically, the rise of Becky Lynch would have just been moved forward a little bit. Instead of being the man in 2018, she would have been the man of 2017. So I'd overall give it a thumbs up. The men's lineup of 2017 was Kevin Owens, Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, Dolph Ziggler, Sami Zayn, and Shinsuke Nakamura. Baron Corbin being the lasting man to grab the briefcase, cash it in on a match between John Cena and Jinder Mahal after Jinder Mahal defeated, funnily enough, John Cena, but would lose his cash-in match. He would not be the world champion. The second to last person who would have won the briefcase would have been Shinsuke Nakamura, and cashed in on John Cena versus Jinder Mahal, or technically after John Cena versus Jinder Mahal. And I would have had to give that a thumbs down, because honestly, even after winning the Royal Rumble, Shinsuke Nakamura just kind of fell out of grace with the company and creative. They never had anything significant plan for Shinsuke after winning the Rumble. Having him lose his cash-in to Jinder Mahal would have just made things like 10 times worse and 10 times as fast. So yeah, this is going to be a thumbs down. Sorry, Baron, it had to be you. In 2018, the women's lineup was Sasha Banks, Natalya, Charlotte Flair, Ember Moon, Alexa Bliss, Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Lana. Alexa Bliss walking up the ladder to grab that briefcase, cashing in later on against Nia Jax and Ronda Rousey, making it a triple threat and walking out with the Women's World Champion. Now, the second to this match who were closest to the briefcase would have been Becky Lynch, meaning Becky Lynch would have cashed in that same night against Ronda Rousey and Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Champion, making it a triple threat and winning the champion. And this is where I'm going to give my thumbs down, mainly because, and if I'm keeping up with the lore of this video, she's already won the briefcase by this point. You don't need it again. Although it's Ronda and it'd be cool to get that jump started, you already had the briefcase, Becky, so I'm going to give it a thumbs down. The men's lineup in 2018 was Kevin Owens, Bobby Roode, The Miz, Finn Balor, Braun Strowman, Rusev, Samoa Joe, and Kofi Kingston. The tall bastard that he is, Braun Strowman grabbed the briefcase, making his cash-in well in advance, announcing it for Hell in a Cell against Roman Reigns for the Universal Champion. But that match would not finish because Brock Lesnar broke into the cell and caused a DQ, meaning that cash-in match did not matter. Braun Strowman did not walk out with the undisputed Universal Champion. Jesus Christ, too many belts. Meaning that the second man that was closest to the briefcase before Braun winning was Finn Balor, meaning Finn would have cashed in well in advance against Roman Reigns in Hell in a Cell, having his match interrupted by Brock Lesnar, meaning he wouldn't be winning the Universal Championship. And immediately, thumbs down. I hate that. No sir. No sir. I feel like if we're gonna have Finn win the briefcase, he has to win the title. This will just kill his career immediately. In 2019, the women's lineup was Natalya, Naomi, Dana Brooke, Alexa Bliss, Carmella, Ember Moon, Mandy Rose, and Bayley. Bayley, being the highest of baby faces at the time, won the briefcase, cashed it in later that night against Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair. Charlotte winning the SmackDown's champions, but instead of walking away, decided to beat up Becky Lynch with the help of Lacey Evans, weirdly enough, allowing Bayley to cash in her briefcase and walk through the crowd with her new championship. The second closest person behind Bayley would have been Mandy Rose with the help of Sonya Deville. I was about to say Sonya Bliss. The hell? Sonya Deville with the help. But Mandy Rose would have been the second closest person, meaning she would have cashed in on Charlotte after winning the SmackDown's champion that night. Yeah. I think overall, I'll give it a thumbs up. I think that puts a new spotlight on Mandy Rose, putting her in a really good top position instead of, having her kind of linger in a feud again with Otis and then moving down to NXT, where she had her best run, but I feel like she would have been really cool and useful to have on the main roster as a women's champion. Yeah, this one's stupid. In 2019, the men's lineup was Ricochet, Braun Strowman, Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Randy Orton, Andrade, Finn Balor, and Mustafa Ali, where, weirdly enough and stupidly enough, Brock Lesnar entered himself into the match last minute to win the briefcase. Fuck you. Fuck that. Brock cashing in his briefcase on a match between Becky Lynch and Seth Rollins versus Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans, pinning Seth Rollins for the Universal Championship. What the fuck? Meaning the last person to touch it is fucking Mustafa Ali, of course. Of course it was Mustafa Ali. Fuckers fiddling with the briefcase before Brock killed a cameraman and then him to win the briefcase. He would have cashed in on Seth Rollins after his match and became a Universal Champion, dog. And do I have to explain? Thumbs up. Do I have to explain? Poor Mustafa Ali. Man was cursed from the beginning. That would have really just shot him. Maybe not forever main eventer, but that would have just been like a hands-on head, like holy shit, a new champion. Alright, so this is where the world broke. So I'm gonna break my video for it. I'm gonna do them both at the same time. The women's lineup in 2020 was Nia Jax, Asuka, Shayna Baszler, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and Carmella. While the men's lineup was AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio, Aleister Black, Daniel Bryan, and Otis. Asuka retrieving the briefcase from the women's side, and Otis winning the briefcase on the men's side. Now both briefcase holders will not be able to cash in their briefcase. Asuka being for the reason of Becky Lynch relinquishing her title for pregnancy, so the briefcase was for just the title itself. And Otis losing his briefcase in a match against The Miz because of a Tucker heel turn, meaning The Miz cashed in Otis's briefcase against Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Champion. This was a broken year. Oh my god. Now, because I did both of them at the same time, I'm going to commit to doing that for both of them. The secondary person in the women's match that was closest to the briefcase before Asuka was Lacey Evans, meaning Lacey Evans would have just been gifted the Raw Women's Champion, which actually makes sense. And then for the men's, the second closest person before Otis winning it was AJ Styles, who actually had the briefcase last before dropping it into Otis's hands, meaning that AJ Styles would have lost the briefcase, maybe not to a Tucker heel turn, I'll be surprised if he did, but would lose the briefcase to The Miz, meaning The Miz would still be able to cash in on Drew McIntyre. Ew. Yeah, this is the one I was afraid to run into because I don't know how I'm going to do the men's. The women's one, overall, thumbs up. I think it makes sense for a character like Lacey Evans to just be gifted the women's champion. And I think it's funny that it's Becky Lynch gifting her the champion, like, oh, here. I think that's kind of fun. But for the men's, I mean, The Miz would have still won it regardless. I think the fact that it was Otis makes a little bit of sense. If it was AJ, that just would have been hair-pulling anger, I think. So, thumbs down for the men. Yeah. What a shit year 2020 was, guys. The 2021 women's lineup was Zelina Vega, Asuka, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Nikki ASH, Liv Morgan, Natalya, and Tamina. Nikki ASH surprising, specifically me, but everybody around the world when she won the briefcase, cashing in after a match between Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, I almost said Raquel Rodriguez, and winning the Raw Women's Champion. What a night that was. The second person closest before Nikki ASH would have been Zelina Vega, meaning Zelina Vega would have won that briefcase, cashed in on Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair to win the Raw Women's Championship that night. And I think you might be able to tell thumbs up. Honestly, as good of a moment Nikki ASH was, they never capitalized on that. I think Zelina Vega would be the same way, but I feel like it'd be more interesting to have somebody like Zelina Vega hold the briefcase, cash in on Charlotte and Rhea, and probably become, I'd like to imagine, a bigger star than what she ended up being. The men's 2021 lineup was Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, Matt Riddle, Ricochet, John Morrison, Big E, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Seth Rollins, with Big E being, what also threw me off when I learned this, was the first African American Money in the Bank holder. I love that fact. Cashing in on a Monday Night Raw between the winner of Bobby Lashley and Randy Orton, picking up the win on Bobby Lashley to become the new World Heavyweight Champion. Now, the second to Big E's Money in the Bank would have been Seth Rollins, meaning that Seth Rollins would have gone into that Raw, cashed in on a winning Bobby Lashley against Randy Orton, and become the World Heavyweight Champion. And I'm gonna shoot it down. That's a no thank you from me. Thumbs down. partially for the fact of I like the idea of Big E being the first black Money in the Bank holder. I like that. That makes me happy. But also, it felt right. We just came back from COVID. The world finally opened up. We needed something that just smiling ear to ear, and Big E, the power of positivity, winning something that could make his career more positive. It didn't at the end of the day, but making his career feel more positive, that was perfect. In 2022, the women's lineup was Becky Lynch, Alexa Bliss, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Lacey Evans, Asuka, Shotzi, Blackheart. That was all I was about to say. And Liv Morgan shocking the world, honestly shocked me when she won the briefcase, cashing in later that night against Ronda Rousey and Natalya to pick up the SmackDown Women's Champion. Now, the second closest person to the briefcase before Liv winning would have been Becky Lynch. That's like 3 times by now Becky Lynch could have won the briefcase, meaning she would have cashed in on Ronda after the match against Natalya to become the Women's SmackDown Champion. And taking my rule out of I don't want multiple winners of the briefcase, taking that aside, I'll still put this as a thumbs down. I think, although the run as champion wasn't good, I do think Liv becoming Money in the Bank briefcase holder was actually a really good idea. And I don't think replacing that with Becky would have been a good idea. You know what I mean? We find ourselves at another weird Money in the Bank winner, where in 2022 the men's lineup was Matt Riddle, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Omos, Sheamus, Sami Zayn, and Madcap Moss. None of those men won. None of those men won the briefcase. Instead, it was a man of Austin Theory who won the briefcase after being just added into the match, going on to not cash in on Roman Reigns, not cash in on, I think, Big E at the time, who was champion. No, he cashed in on Seth Rollins, the United States champion, who ended up losing. He fucking lost the United States champion cash in. What the fuck? Now, the unfortunate soul who would have gotten that cash and gotten the briefcase actually would have been Matt Riddle. Meaning Matt Riddle would have instead cashed in not on Roman Reigns, not on Big E, I think. Who would have cashed in on Seth Rollins to lose the United States champion opportunity match. It was just an open challenge. It was an open, I didn't mention, it was an open challenge. He could have just answered that without the briefcase. What? Thumbs down. Next. In 2023, a new regime started. Vince McMahon was out, Triple H was in, this being his first Money in the Bank booking of Io Sky, Trish Stratus, Zoe Stark, Bayley, Zelina Vega, and Becky Lynch. Io Sky winning the briefcase after handcuffing Becky and Bayley to each other between the ladder and going to grab the briefcase. I'm all fumbling in the head. Who later on cashed in on a triple threat match at SummerSlam between Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, and Asuka, winning the brand new Women's World Champion. Now this was a little bit harder because we had both Becky and Bayley on the same level going for the briefcase, but I saw who actually touched the briefcase last, that being Bayley. So Bayley would have gone off to win the briefcase again, cash in on that moment, and become the new Women's World Champion. Which, as much of a Bayley fan as I am, sticking with the rule of not having too many of the same cash-ins, but also with the rise of Io Sky that came out of this, I'll have to give it a thumbs down. This really did put Io Sky in such a high manner that I don't want to like ruin that and fuck it up. You know what I mean? So I think, yeah, thumbs down overall. Love Bayley though. The men's lineup for 2023 was Ricochet, LA Knight, Santos Escobar, Logan Paul, Damian Priest, Butch, not Pete Dunne, and Shinsuke Nakamura, where Damian Priest won the briefcase, later on cashing in at WrestleMania against Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre to then become the brand new World Heavyweight Champion. Now, the second person in line that could have grabbed the briefcase and won it would have been LA Knight. Yeah. And he would have gone on to cash in at WrestleMania on Drew McIntyre. I was about to say Gunther. He was going to cash in on Drew McIntyre to win the World Heavyweight Champion. And I'm going to give this a thumbs down only because this isn't going to be the last time LA Knight is in this position. And I think that second time is better suited for LA Knight than what this ended up being. I actually do like the Damian Priest cash, and I do like it, so I'm going to give it a thumbs down for me. The men's lineup, the first time that the men's actually went on first, was LA Knight, Drew McIntyre, Carmelo Hayes, Chad Gable, Jey Uso, and Andrade, where Drew McIntyre won unnecessarily, to be honest, the briefcase to cash in later that night on Seth Rollins versus Damian Priest, where with the bastard of himself CM Punk cost Drew his champion opportunity, meaning that cash in was null and void. Oh, now the second in line would have been Jey Uso, if not Drew McIntyre, because fucking Drew fucking yeeted a ladder at Jay's face. That was kind of funny. But Jey would have been gone on that same night to cash in and fail with the betrayal and help of CM Punk. And so I'm going to give this a thumbs down. Honestly, I mean, the run after the Rumble wasn't the best, but in a way, at least the Rumble win felt, in a way, organic, I guess. It got bad later on, but I feel like having him fail no cash in, and then he still went on to fight Gunther at Saturday Night's Main Event to then win the Rumble. That's too many steps. At least that step doesn't make sense, but what I just said was too many steps. So I'd rather him just go through the Rumble and win. The 2024 women's lineup was Io Sky and Lyra Valkyria, Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, Zoe Stark, and Chelsea Green, with Tiffany Stratton picking up the briefcase later on, cashing in on a match between Naomi and Nia Jax on a random SmackDown. I think the SmackDown of the new year, I think, to become the new women's WWE champion. The second person that was closest to the briefcase that was very scarily pushed off was Chelsea Green, meaning Chelsea Green would have won the women's briefcase to cash in that same time on that SmackDown against Nia Jax to become the new women's WWE champion. And this is a thumbs up if I've ever seen one. I think that's such a perfect prop to have given to Chelsea Green. Sneakily cash it in on Nia Jax and then avoid her for the rest of the year. We're trying to avoid her for the rest of the year until she has to defend it at some point. I think that's a very good trope to have. When I'm recording this, she's currently the women's champion right now, and I'm so happy. And our final year before this current year, in 2025, we had Stephanie Vaquer, Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Naomi, Rhea Ripley, and Julia, where Naomi, praise the Lord, won the briefcase, cashing in on an already beautiful match, perfect match at Evolution between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky to become the brand new women's world heavyweight champion. The second to last person, again, like last time, it was Alexa Bliss and Rhea Ripley who were kind of even, but the last person who was the second highest up in that ladder was Rhea Ripley, meaning Rhea Ripley would have won the briefcase to cash in on Io Sky at Evolution, who probably would have had a match with, oh no, let's make it fun, who would have probably had a match with Naomi to keep that cycle running. And I think I'm going to give this a thumbs down, mainly because I do still like the story of Rhea Ripley never being able to beat Io Sky, and she still hasn't yet to beat Io Sky. Naomi beat Io, Rhea hasn't. I like that story. But also, you know, Naomi already being a star, this just kind of elevated her as a almost kind of a more dangerous and more vicious kind of character that she hasn't played yet, so I like to keep that as it is. And finally, in the men's ladder match of 2025, we had LA Knight, Penta, Andrade, Solo Sikoa, Seth Rollins, and El Grande Americano, where Seth Rollins will become a two-time, I believe the first two-time Money in the Bank winner. Yeah, two-time Money in the Bank winner. Also, I was processing, trying to think of that in my head. Later on, cashing in at SummerSlam against his arch enemy CM Punk and Gunther, for Seth Rollins to then become the brand new World Heavyweight Champion with the with the ruse of the century, not the heist of the century. However, the second to last person that could have won the briefcase was L.A. Knight, meaning L.A. Knight would have won the briefcase, cashed in at SummerSlam against CM Punk and Gunther to become the brand new World Heavyweight Champion. And I think I'm gonna give this a thumbs up because they did the rule in real life. The whole rule of me not wanting to do multiple time winners of the briefcase, they actually did it. You know what I mean? I actually think this would have been a perfect opportunity to give LA Knight the briefcase. Besides, Seth got injured legitimately later on in the year. If they would have just given it to LA Knight, that would not have happened. And the curse of the Vision would never have happened. So, like, it feels like there's no other time than then. Because I don't think it's going to happen this year, guys. I don't think it's going to happen this year. But this concludes, I think, one of the most work I've put into a video in a long time, guys. Like, dead ass. Let me know what you think about this first video on a hopeful new series of my what ifs chapter. That'd be cool if I could do multiple of these. That'd be nice. But please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Turn on the bell icon to be notified whenever I upload. Who knows when the next upload will be after this. I know I'm still doing the Raw and SmackDown reviews, but Wednesday videos, who knows. I'm gonna post in the channel all the things that I've had to do for this video to work, because I've been working on this video for almost 2 weeks, almost 2 full weeks. So please share it, at most share it, and at least give it a like. At least give it a like. I'd appreciate that a lot. I don't even need you to subscribe. Just at least like it. Let me know that you like this kind of shit. But I'll leave y'all off to other pastures of my channel. I'll see you when I see you. I love y'all. Take care, everybody. Bye. Holy shit. I actually didn't think this video would take this long.